Now let's continue with a bar plot. Bar plot is useful when you want to see the relation between a categorical value and a numeric value. For example, you want to count how many 8-cylinder vehicles there are, how many 4-cylinder and how many 6-cylinder vehicles there are, and so on. Then a bar plot could be a good candidate there, because the y-axis could show the number of vehicles, and on the x-axis you will have the corresponding cylinder type. So let's try to do that. We will start with ggplot, the data frame name, comma, aesthetics. I will say x equal to cylinders. We don't put anything on the y-axis. That will come from the counts, and that will be done within this geom bar, and it will automatically put that into the y-axis. As you can see, y is shown as count. So this is not, count is not a variable from our data set. It's the count of the cylinders, right? That's what this is. So very few 3 and 5 cylinders, 200 plus 4-cylinder vehicles, about 80 or so 6-cylinder vehicles, and 100 plus 8-cylinder vehicles. So the majority goes to the 4-cylinder vehicles. 4-cylinder vehicles is the winner in the data. So another neat thing here is we can also color the bars, the bar plot. So for that, I want to use cylinders as well. So I will copy paste this. Let's do that. So within this aesthetics, so let me start with the simpler case. If I say color, and let's go with green, so that's quite visible. If I just do this, you see the inner side, it's still this dark gray color, but the outer side of the border basically of each bar is now this green color. Because color refers to basically the dots or the outer area when you have rectangles like this. If you also want to fill in these areas, you need to use the argument fill. And for example, let's make that a different color. For example, let's go with pink. You see now the inside of the bars, of the rectangles, are filled in with the pink color, right? Outer is green, inside is pink. I don't like that. Let's make them both pink, maybe. Yeah, so now both outside and inside is pink. If you leave color out, it will, I think, stay with the original color. Oh, okay. So if you leave color out, it doesn't do anything. So basically color is something an extra. The main thing is the fill here, right? Okay, so let's keep this. So this is not exactly what I wanted to do. This is one possibility, but what I wanted to do is actually use the fill within aesthetics so that it will be another dimension shown in the figure to us. So I will use the color of the cylinders, color each bar as well. So these colors, remember, because it was ordinal type, if you converted cylinders from numeric to an ordinal type, it is sequential discrete nature of the colors. Dark blue to green and then to yellow. So this is basically, I mean, it might not be that useful, but still I think it adds some flavor. We can also add, for example, color. Let's make the outer side of each rectangle, each bar, black color. So you see now surrounded by these black border, right? So I think this looks pretty nice. So for example, let's do another example here. Let's look into the number of vehicles in each year. Number of vehicles in each year. Okay. I will say ggplot. EF is our data set. Aesthetics on the x-axis. I want to see the year information. So model year in our data set, right? And then that's it. I basically leave the rest to R. So it will count how many vehicles there are in each year and then plot it for us. So on the x-axis, I have the model year. On the y-axis, I have the count. So overall, it seems stable, around 30. It seems 73 has a bit more vehicles with 40 there. Another thing we need to know that can be used to create bar charts is geom_call. So let's see the use case of that. So let's take the data set, and then I'm going to group by model year. Okay, and then I'm going to take that. I'm going to summarize to get how many vehicles there are in each year, and I'm also interested in the average MPG in each year. AVG there, average MPG is equal to mean of MPG, and then I will say na.rm is equal to true. Run it. Okay, it's created for us. Let's save this. Let's call this df summary. Put it here, check it. And also, if we keep adding more data like this, it will become longer and longer, so we can hit enter here after the pipes, and so that it looks neater and nicer, right? So let's do that. Okay, this is the number of vehicles in each year and the average MPG in each year right there. So now let's use this to plot, okay? Rather than, for example, I will start with the usual case. So let's plot for each year how many vehicles there are. So ggplot, ggplot, and then the dataset name, which is df summary, comma, df summary, comma, aesthetics. On the x-axis, I want the model year, but on the y-axis, this time I want this n. Why? Because I already calculated how many vehicles there are. So I'm going to directly put n for the y-axis, and now if I want to create a bar chart out of this data, I should put geom_call, no more geom_bar, because I don't want to do any counting or anything. I already provided the information I need for the x and y axis. Now I just want to put the bars there based on the height of the n. That's it. Run this and you get the bar chart again. You do bar here, you will get an error. So because it doesn't work like this. You don't want it to do counting. You already did that. So you just want R to show these rectangles, basically these bars. That's it. So that's how you can create, make use of data you already have that you want to show, and using geom_call to create a bar chart. Maybe the more interesting case would be, rather than showing the number of vehicles, to see the average MPG in each year. Right, we did that already before we created the line plot, but right now I want to create a bar chart using this average MPG column. Average MPG, the y-axis. You see a bar chart is created. So rather than a line, now I can see these bars in each year, how they change. There's a clear upward trend based on this data. So finally, I want to quickly show, if we were to use base R, how can we create bar chart? We can make use of the bar plot function. Open close parentheses. For example, we want to see the number of vehicles in each year. First of all, we need to calculate that beforehand. We cannot ask R to directly do that for us. So we need to calculate like we did here. So we have that information. Now we can make use of it. So we'll say n tilde sign. So n versus model year. That's what we want to create. N on the y-axis and model year on the y-axis. Sorry, n on the y-axis and model year on the x-axis. Comma, give the data name. This data is equal to df summary we just created. Run this and you will create this bar chart using the base R. And again, I do think that ggplot looks much nicer. There's a few more things we can do in a bar chart. So here, for example, let's go here. ggplot. The main data frame, we started with df, and then on aesthetics, we will say x is equal to model year, and on the y-axis, sorry, on the, we are not going to do the y-axis, we are going to use geom bar, but I want to do something. I want to say fill is equal to cylinders. And then if I now create the geom bar, okay, what happened here is that we are counting how many vehicles there are in each year. So that's, we had already done that. But we are also using coloring, or the fill here. We use cylinders to color each bar. But for each year, right, there will be different cylinders. So for each year, there will be 8-cylinder vehicles, 6-cylinder vehicles, 4-cylinder vehicles, and so on. So that's why you see different colors in each bar showing up. So for example, in 1970s, there were more 8-cylinder vehicles. And kind of over time, the number of 8-cylinder vehicles has declined. I mean, again, at least this data set shows that. So I don't know if this is a general fact, but whatever we have, basically we can see this behavior in this data. Or the 4-cylinder vehicles, which is the blue color, seems like pretty much consistent, but a bit larger towards the end after the 80s. So around this period, there's more 4-cylinder vehicles in the data. And that also kind of explains why there's an upward trend in the average MPG over time, right? So this is stacked bar chart. If we rather want them to be next to each other, separated out by the cylinder type, what we can do is we can add a parameter here. We can call it position and then dodge. So now basically they will be next to each other rather than on top of. So interesting fact, for example, there's no 8-cylinder vehicle in the data in the year 82 at all. So that's why this yellow is totally non-present in the year 82. Okay, and that was bar chart.